presents Chocolate Yoddah Live.
Hey folks, Chocolate Yoddah here, spelled Y-O-D-D-A-H because film studios are litigious. Welcome to another installment of Chocolate Yoddah Live. Today is Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. And I looked up the word Wednesday. Where'd it go? Oh, it went away. Okay, so here's what I learned. I'm trying to remember it now. All right, so Wednesday apparently is named after the Norse god Odin. It's Vodun's Day, or Vodun, right? And Odin and Mercury are basically the same. Mercury on the Greek side, and what they both have in common is eloquence and a couple other things. Whatever, I don't remember now. But wedding is a derivation of the word Wednesday, and there you go. So Wednesday. Wasn't that interesting? Anyway, before I get into what I want to talk about, I just, I can't help mentioning the ongoing craziness with Donnie Dump. Man, he was interviewed, and he was talking about this new audio that was leaked, and in a short time he contradicted himself a couple times. You know, he said it was a fake leaked audio, it was a hoax, but then he said the audio proved that he was innocent, so how could it be faked and a hoax and also prove your innocence? Just madness, but he just keeps incriminating himself. It's amazing. And today it reminded me of the Ron White routine. He tells that story of tater salad, and he got arrested, and he tells the story of like how he kept running his mouth, and he capped the story by saying, "I had the right to stay silent, just not the ability." And that sounds like Donnie Dump to me. Now we got to find what I wrote about the topic that I had in mind. Let's see. Is it here? Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So, yesterday, when we got to the wisdom segment of the Potty Waddy, or I like to call it the Potty Waddy Doodle all day. Oh, fascinating stuff. Anyway, I was talking to Doobie, and we were talking about how people develop their belief systems and how they, build walls to protect themselves. And of course, these are metaphorical walls. And I quoted the last line, slightly incorrectly, but I quoted the last line of the Pink Floyd song Mother. And so I wrote down some thoughts about that, and like to hear it. Here it go. The film Pink Floyd The Wall debuted on September 17th, 1982. It was a very good year. Sorry. I had turned 18 that May and was an usher at Sunrise Cinemas in Valley Stream, Long Island, which is a suburb of New York. I've loved films all my life. This film is based on the album The Wall, which is the 11th studio album by the band Pink Floyd. And the album was released on November 30th, 1979. And it contains some of the best rock songs ever written, in my opinion. The album and subsequent film tell the story of a rock star's slow descent into madness and addiction. It's also littered with social commentary. But here are the lyrics. I kind of took out the repetitiveness of the chorus and other kind of things, just sort of made it into dialogue. So this song is essentially a conversation between a mother and son. And it starts off with the son asking the question, "Mother, should I build the wall?" I find that to be a very interesting opening line because he's not asking, "Mother, should I build a wall?" It sounds like they talked about this before. Like, at a certain point, son, you're going to have to build the wall around you to protect yourself. Oh, these folks on YouTube must be loving this because I'm scratching my eye, and it is quite grotesque. Anyway, so mother, should I build the wall? Mother, should I run for president? Again, to me, this is interesting because mother, should I build the wall sounds sort of like a child that's at least in his late teenage years, or he seems to have a certain understanding, but then mother, should I run for president is almost like innocent, like a child would ask. So I'm not sure how old he is in this conversation. But I think we get more hints of that later on. So he says, mother, should I trust the government? Again, probably an older person speaking, older young person, late teens, early 20s maybe. Mother, will they put me in the firing line? And I believe that's a reference to being drafted into the army. Is it just a waste of time? That's an interesting question because I don't know what it is referring to. Is it just a waste of time? Is he referring to life? Is he referring to any of the thoughts that he's expressing right now? What could he be referring to? I'm not sure. But that's kind of a dark question, right? So now his mother starts responding to him. And I think in these responses, we'll start to get to the point of what he's trying to say in the song. And I think he's kind of vilifying his mother in a way. And I think he's also exemplifying the idea that the road to hell is paved with good intention. So she starts off by saying, "Hush now, baby, baby, don't you cry. Mother's gonna make all of your nightmares come true." Man, that's hardcore. Mother's gonna make all of your nightmares come true, which of course is a play on what a mother would usually say or commonly say in a situation like this, which is, "I'm gonna make your dreams come true." But then she goes on to say, "Mother's going to put all of her fears into you." And this is, again, sort of a continuation of her first idea, "I'm going to make your nightmares come true. I'm going to put my fears into you. Mother's going to keep you right under her wing." That sounds nice until we get to the next sentence, right? Because mother's going to keep you right under her wing. It's like, I'm going to keep you close. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to do what mothers are supposed to do. But then she won't let you fly, but she might let you sing. Woof. Wow. You know, and again, I like the fact that he's keeping sort of a consistent metaphor, because when she says Mama's going to keep you right under her wing, that's like a bird thing, right? That's what birds do. They protect their young by covering them with their wings. And so to extend the metaphor, now she's talking about him as if he's a bird. She won't let you fly, but she might let you sing, because birds sing too. But in the film, he's a singer. So there's a double meaning there. Mama's going to keep baby cozy and warm. Of course, Mama's going to help build the wall. So she's going to keep you cozy and warm. She's going to help you build a wall. It's, again, there's some interesting ideas expressed in this. It's what I love about music. You know, a good songwriter can pack so much into a short period of time, and with very economical use of words in some cases. So now we're back to him, and he's going to ask her more questions. But now these questions are sort of reflective or indicative of someone a little bit older, and you'll hear what I mean. Mother, do you think she's good enough for me? So this is a guy entering into the phase of his life where he's having relationships, right? So do you think she's good enough for me? Mother, do you think she's dangerous to me? Which hints at paranoia, right? It's not a common question that a child would ask his mother, or even a young man. You know, if you're to the point where you're talking to your mother about relationship stuff, that's not a question I ever asked my mother. Not that I spoke to her about anything really, but I think that's an interesting question. And he stays on this topic of this girl/woman that he's talking about. Mother, will she tear your little boy apart? And so he infantilizes himself. You know, obviously he's an older boy/young man at this point, but he refers to himself as your little boy. And then his last question, in this section anyway, is, Mother, will she break my heart? Hush now, baby, baby, don't you cry. Mama's going to check out all your girlfriends for you. Mama won't let anyone dirty get through. That word dirty, that to me is so emblematic of a religious idea. You know, I won't delve too deeply into this, but, you know, the interesting thing about the story of Genesis, and especially when Eve transgressed, there's so many interesting elements of that story. I mean, one of them is that God lied to Adam and Eve. He said specifically, if they eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge, they would die. That was a lie. But here's what happened, and here's how dark an agenda to oppress can be. When Eve eats the fruit and gets Adam to do the same, what's the first thing that they notice? Because now they have knowledge. They've eaten from the tree of knowledge, and now they have acquired knowledge. You know, you are what you eat. So they ate knowledge, and now they have knowledge. What's the first thing that knowledge exercised? They noticed they were naked. What happened right after they noticed they were naked? they became ashamed. Right? Oof. So dark, so twisted. You know, you want to make people ashamed of their body. And if they're ashamed of their body, then what they do with their body must be shameful. Another word to say shameful is dirty. So when she says, Mama won't let anyone dirty get through, that's a powerful allusion. And again, that's allusion with an A. Mama's going to wait up until you get in. Mama will always find out where you've been. So she's kind of oppressive, right? Which I think is pretty clear in this, but you know that thing that thing that parents do to create a level of paranoia in their children. I'm always going to know what you're doing. I'm always going to know where you are and what you're up to and when you mess up, right? And then she ends again in a way that sounds kind of nice, but I'm not sure it is. After everything she said, she says, Mama's gonna keep baby healthy and clean. Let me read that again in English. Mama's gonna help. I love when I have these stroke moments where I can't read what's right in front of me. Mama's gonna keep baby healthy and clean. Ooh, baby, you'll always be baby to me. So a very dark, dysfunctional exchange between two people, but it's not over. The very last line of the song, where I got one word wrong yesterday when I was remembering it, but I'm only human. I don't think that's a song. Anyway, he finishes the song with a line that I think says so much with so little. He asks his mother, because that's all he does in this song, and I think he only makes two statements in this, right? Anyway, so maybe this is the only statement, or maybe only one statement, whatever. But here's the last question, if I could get out of my own way to get to it. All right. Mother, did it need to be so high? Wow. Did it need to be so high? So it's to me an interesting question, and not just for what he asked, but also what he didn't ask. He never asks if he needs to build a wall. He doesn't ask if it's right to build the wall. He doesn't ask if he'll always need the wall. He sort of seems to have resigned himself to the idea of the fact that the wall is obvious. I obviously need to build this wall. And Mama says, of course, I'll help you build it. And of course, this is all metaphor to me. This is all beyond what's written as lyrics. It's beyond what's on the page, right? So what is this business of the wall? Why do people build walls? Well, if we're going to just go by the obviousness of the metaphor of a wall, it's about protection. You know, because if you say I'm going to build a house, that's sort of about, okay, it's sort of generically like I need a way to control the environment, protect myself from the outer world, sort of, in a generic, non-paranoid way. But when you just focus on the wall, I have to build this wall, and it's all about protection, right? But in this case, there are no literal dangers. All of the danger that's described in this song is metaphorical. There's no one attacking this man. There's nothing coming at him in reality. It's all about what the paranoia is saying, right? So that's a very interesting element. And again, folks watching on YouTube, sorry that I'm scratching my eyes. My allergies are kicking up a lot today. Anyway, so why do people do this? Because I think this is a very common mechanism, right? So much of the wiring that human beings have is about protection, right? I talked briefly about the fight, flight, or freeze mechanism that we have, right? When we are faced with an imminent threat, and in prehistory it would be animals mostly that could hurt humans, because humans are really physically not that impressive. A squirrel runs faster than a human. And there are a lot of predators out there that, even though humans might not be their first target, if they can't find the thing that usually outruns them or puts up a strong fight, why not that slow-moving meat sack that can't fight me at all? Until later on, when they started sharpening sticks, then the dynamic changed there, right? But we had to protect ourselves from predators. We had to protect ourselves from other prehistoric people, right? Because we know beyond the shadow of a doubt from all of the anthropological evidence that people in prehistory warred with each other. And I think the motivation for war then is really the same as it is now and the same as it ever was, which is, you have stuff that I want, and I'm going to come take it. I don't feel like hunting and gathering, so I'm going to take the stuff that you hunted and gathered. I want to ensure my lineage, so I'm going to take your women as well. So there were constant battles. So humans developed certain senses to protect ourselves from the imminent threats that we faced. And all of this information is still in our DNA. It's housed in our brainstem, the very small part in the back of our brain that's connected right to our spinal cord, so that there is no gap between the signal from that part of the brain to the body. So if you have to fight, adrenaline floods your bloodstream. And when I say floods, it's about a drop of adrenaline gets released, but that's enough to mobilize you, shoot your heart rate out of a cannon, get your lungs pumping real fast so that you can summon the strength that you need physically to do battle, right? What else? Our ears used to move, just like a dog's ears. Why? What's important about ears moving? Well, it's critically important that when you hear a sound, you know from which direction that sound is coming. Because if you don't figure that out immediately, something can pounce on you. And again, more than likely, saber-toothed tiger or something like that, but could be Og from the village over the hill as well. So fight, flight, freeze, right? So running away, that's another thing that adrenaline is good for, right? You get that burst of energy, you run full out for as long as you can before you start to shake, and, because you get into an anaerobic state where your muscles are using more oxygen than you're taking in, and then you collapse. But in that time where you've put distance between yourself and your attacker, you might have saved your life. And then there's freeze, which is that thing that a lot of animals still do, and humans do it too. In times of high stress, where we are in danger, instead of fighting or running away, some humans just stand still and hope that the predator doesn't notice you. And according to the film Jurassic Park, T-Rexes only recognized moving objects. That's how their DNA instructed them that there's something potential to eat nearby. Stuff that wasn't moving was either inert or dead. And apparently they didn't want that. So if it's moving, it might be dinner, right? So it makes sense that one of the adaptive responses that humans came up with was standing still. And I see that, we had a guest. Any guest that wants to come on, your mic's going to be open for 15 minutes when I'm done talking. So hang in there. And these are the folks on Wisdom. So fight, flight, freeze. But now, once we move past the physical aspects, the physical realities of an actual danger, an actual potential attacker, well, what happens if there's no attacker, but you start thinking about being attacked? Well, that's a very oversimplified example of how anxiety can be produced. Because really, when someone says they're feeling anxious or they're feeling depressed or sad or whatever, as a coach, the first question that I would ask is, what have you been thinking in the last 5 minutes? Almost always, that's going to give me the answer as to why they feel that way. Because all of those things are generally the results of what we were thinking, rather than something real that's going on, right? So if you think about the conversation that was played out in that song, both mother and son are thinking about non-existent threats. You know, the world at large, you know, a potential mate. Is she going to hurt me? Right? And mom trying to reassure him, sort of, that she'll protect him from the outside world, but she did say that she's going to make all of his fears come true and his nightmares as well, right? Or his nightmares come true and put all of her fears into him. So these are not real threats. But here's the interesting thing about the human brain. It doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined threat. And I don't know this for sure, but my assumption, my guess, is that that's an important survival mechanism. If your brain perceives a threat, it doesn't have time to discern whether that threat is real or imagined. So if you imagine a threat, all of the mechanisms that fire up when there's a real threat are going to fire up. But if there's nothing to fight, nothing to run away from, nothing to pretend you don't exist from, anxiety and depression and paranoia are very common results. You know, and as I said yesterday, the thing about building a wall is that, yes, it will keep people from getting in, but the problem is that it keeps you from getting out. So there are my ideas Another session from a talking monkey. So I hope folks on Wisdom come on and talk about this idea. If not, I'll wrap it up. But, you know, this album, I mean, it contains so many amazing songs. Comfortably Numb, Hey You, I mean, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2. Wow. Just, which I think contains the greatest guitar solo ever. But, you know, the lyrics of this song, it took me a long time to kind of really wrap my head around what they could mean, because, of course, without speaking to the songwriter, I won't know precisely what he was trying to communicate. But, you know, based on my experience as someone delving into psychology, starting in junior high school and then starting in 1987 for the reasons of, or the purpose of, personal development, or at least the goal of personal development. And then, of course, getting into coaching, you know, I've seen patterns of behavior. You know, that's the thing that the human brain is best at, is recognizing patterns. And when you hear the struggles that people are going through, a lot of those struggles revolve around relationships with other people. And that can be any kind of relationships. Relationships with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, and of course, most often the most challenging relationship is with a significant other, or the attempt to find a significant other, right? So that's that. Again, I'm going to close out the YouTube portion of the program, and if anyone wants to come on Wisdom and talk to me, that would be great. Otherwise, it's all good. So thanks for joining me. Do this every day, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. That's how the channel grows. And I'm a nobody. I'm not a celebrity with a preloaded audience, so I got to build my audience from scratch. So please, please, please like and subscribe. I'm begging you. Anyway, until further notice, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.